You might be a massive company with huge dollars and budgets, and you can lean into some Gen AI or AI ideas in general. We're going to experiment, we're going to test, we're going to fail, we're going to learn, and that's exciting. But you also might be with an organization that can't afford to do that. They can't afford to test and learn and invest hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars into experimental AI things just to see how it performs.
Nick Marchand is currently the VP of IT at Woodbine Entertainment. In this role, he is responsible for leading the IT department while overseeing infrastructure, end-user support, corporate systems, and more. From cybersecurity programs to cloud migration strategies, Nick Marchand has built a reputation for enhancing the efficiency, reliability, and security of IT systems while improving both customer and employee experiences. Throughout his career, Nick Marchand has held leadership roles spanning technical support, infrastructure, enterprise product development, and cybersecurity. But his impact goes beyond technology. Nick Marchand is passionate about leveraging IT to drive innovation and sustained growth, while cultivating future leaders through mentorship and development planning.
You do hear a lot of people saying, it's not that, AI is going to take your job, but it's the people that know AI are the ones who are going to sort of advance more and be more successful.
Hi, everyone. Today I'm joined by Nick Marchand, who is the VP of IT at Woodbine Entertainment. We'll be talking about how AI is disrupting IT service management. Nick, do you mind giving a quick introduction about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Nick. I'm the VP of IT at Woodbine Entertainment, and I've been in IT for over 20 years. Most recently with another organization in the entertainment industry where I spent many years. And throughout my career, I've always overseen sort of IT support, help desk teams. That's been a big area of focus for me.
Nick, you have been in the industry for a while, and you have seen, you know, multiple versions of AI products throughout the generations as well. So my first question for you is, do you think AI can really replace IT help desk workers?
Yeah, for sure. I think it can replace some, not all. I think it can provide a certain level of service that, if you have a large help desk team, maybe you have a first level call center and you have 20 individuals and you have an opportunity to put in some AI solutions that can deal with a lot of the easy work, and provide a lot of support. Maybe you can take away a certain percentage of, 20% of those calls now just go away altogether. And then as an organization, people, a company can choose, do we save that headcount or do we put that headcount to other use within the business? So I definitely think there's opportunities, but it really depends on the organization and how they're set up.
And you have been pitched multiple AI solutions around automation in IT before. And as a leader, how easy or difficult is it to build a business use case around IT service management, automation, and AI agents?
Um, It's not always that difficult to build a business case around it. I think the key is, what is the organization focused on? What's the organization's goals, right? And if the organization is focused on, improving the customer, the employee experience, well, AI solutions can be fantastic at doing that, right? You can get answers to people very quickly, and that could be great. At the same time, if their focus is cost reductions, well, that might not be so easy. AI solutions may actually cost more money. So it really depends on the organization and where that focus is for them and what they're looking to achieve. So for me, in some of my previous experience at times where we're trying to manage costs, looking at AI solutions, well, they can sound great and they can definitely add a lot of benefits. They don't necessarily align to what the strategic priorities are for me at that time.
So how can you make AI a strategic priority beyond help desk and beyond customer and employee experiences? Are there use cases beyond those two that you think would be more closely aligned to a company's
Oh,
bottom line?
Yeah, there's lots of opportunities. Um, as an example, like, looking in some of my previous experience, while it might not have made sense for me to use AI solutions within my IT help desk, because I was staffed in a level where I didn't really see an opportunity to save money and reducing headcount, as an example. There's other areas of the business that, may run call centers for other services, right? And might have a different staffing model and might create those opportunities to look at making adjustments with individuals. So there's definitely certainly opportunities out there. It's just about finding the right ones. And I think in every business there's some level of opportunity that exists. Again, it's just where is it? How big is that opportunity? What's the ROI? Does it align to what you're trying to focus on as an organization? And should that be where you spend your time right now? As a business. So there's times where you could see those solutions and you could see, hey, that could be really great and do a lot of good, but it might not be the right time to still do it. Right.
And when we think about ROI here, right? What is a good timeline, right, and for seeing ROI from an AI project, right? Because there's lots of promises out there, right?
Yeah.
People are promising a lot of things. So, but realistically, what is a good timeline you think an enterprise would be okay with when implementing an AI solution?
Again, I think it depends on what kind of ROI you're measuring. So one of your ROI could be not money. It could be, an improved customer experience, right? And so you could measure that really quickly. In the first few weeks, you could be able to show metrics to say, look how much faster some of these issues are getting addressed and maybe improve survey results and things like that. Whereas if it's purely financial, sometimes there's an overlap. Sometimes it's, hey, those costs are going to reduce, but it actually takes some time before those costs reduce, right? You may say, "Hey, we're gonna put in this solution that is gonna help us reduce some headcount," but maybe that's gonna happen through attrition with time or something of that nature. So I think it's kinda subjective depending on what you're looking at. I think though, when it comes to, finances, often, organizations are gonna wanna see some kind of return within a year, of something being put in, if not months.
And with this era of generative AI apps, where do you think the real opportunities lie within IT service management right now?
Um For me, I think there's a great opportunity around just your customer experience and like speeding up like the ability for people to get information quickly. Some of these solutions do really great jobs. I mean, even if you just go and play with a tool like ChatGPT and have a conversation about something, like it's very it's very good, in terms of that feeling, human-like feeling and you're having a conversation. And I think if you can um deliver a better experience for people, they'll buy into it really quickly. I know in the past, years ago, it wouldn't have been AI, it was more like automation type opportunities, but I remember having a customer service sort of experience with, Dyson, the vacuum maker, calling their customer service desk, and it was a very long wait, and it said, "We could deal with this via chat, on your phone." And I took advantage of it, given the time. And to be honest, it was a really good experience. Like, it asked me a few questions, I answered, and, like, within 10 minutes, it was like, "We're sending you a replacement, it'll be there tomorrow," and it arrived. And I was like, "Wow, that was awesome." But that had me buy into that experience. So I kinda look at it in the same way with AI and the thought of maybe, calling into a call center of an organization and realizing I'm talking to an AI bot. A lot of people right away might not like that, but I think if you deliver them a good experience, they're gonna buy into that and it's gonna be really successful and they won't mind using it. So I think like there's a lot of opportunity there around um, just speed of access for people to get information and to get what they need.
And do you think your customers would trust an AI agent with sensitive or critical issues?
Um, It depends on what it is. I would say that I don't necessarily always trust it, depending on what, kind of information is going to be put in there. So I think you need to be responsible and sensitive to that. I certainly know personally I wouldn't want to be dealing with an AI solution where it's asking for like PII type information. Um, I wouldn't feel totally comfortable putting that in today. Would that change one day? Maybe. Not anytime soon. per se. So I think there's a time and place to use it, but it doesn't mean you still can't take advantage of, AI solutions in that experience, but maybe there's an opportunity to hand that off to a human when, there's a certain point where sensitive information is being dealt with.
So a lot of use cases you've been talking about are primarily L1 analysts. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you see the evolution of the role of the L1 analysts?
Well, I think one of the exciting things about some of these solutions that are going out, or that are out in the market right now, like, different products that are out there, MoveWorks, Acera, some of these products that are about more employee experience. Um, I think I think they can provide a lot of level 1 help that like busy work at times, people asking simple questions, how to get information for simple changes to be made. And level 1 analysts doing that work isn't a lot of value. Like it's not exciting work, it's not interesting work, it's just repetitive, boring work. So one of the cool things about it is it's an opportunity actually to have those level 1 people focus on more meaningful work, more things that they're interested in, more complex issues where they're actually learning and gaining more experience in it. So I think there's a real opportunity there to increase the value of what those individuals are doing.
So do you think that enables L1 analysts to potentially work on L2 tickets?
Yeah, I think you start to see that merge happen in a way, and I think
Yeah.
the more work that L1 is doing, the more it benefits L2 or L3, so to speak. Like they in themselves get to deal with more complex, higher issues. And then even, at all those levels, how can they benefit from those tools as well in doing their work? So there's one thing about, using AI obviously in the customer experience for self-service and solving issues, but then also how can those analysts be utilizing those tools to help improve their work, their quality, their speed to answers, and everything else.
And let's go up the chain a bit. Like, what about L2 and L3 analysts, right? Which do a lot of things around all the way from like, changing policies, changing configurations to actual working with code. How do you see their jobs evolving?
Well, I guess I look at a lot of it as just around the same concept of kind of productivity. I think these tools can help everyone be faster and do their work better, right? Like, so you mentioned like people coding, right? It doesn't mean that a developer is going to go out and just use this tool to write all their code, but it's like their assistant, right? It's to help them do things, to make them faster, to help them with accuracy and things like that. So I think everyone can use it to be a little bit more productive. I know for someone like myself, even just taking advantage of some of the tools out there, Midjourney and ChatGPT and Copilot to build better decks, and like I found out I do a better job of making a prettier presentation nowadays with some of those tools to help me, right? So I think everyone can kind of take advantage of some of these solutions to make themselves more productive. Even when I think about that example of like image creation, back in the day, if I needed something unique created, I might have to reach out to the creative group and say, "Hey, could you help me kind of make something like this?" Now you can actually go in those tools and do it yourself, and it's faster and quick, and and it also it's not a lot of value for that creative team to be making an image for me either, right? So, it's benefits productivity, I think, all around.
And but when you see, AI helping these roles, there's also this fear of you know AI taking their jobs. Do you see it in the industry and within like your past experiences, your current experience? Do you see people are scared about it?
I think people are nervous. I would say I've never seen AI replace anyone yet. I think that, you do hear a lot of people saying, it's not that, AI is going to take your job, but it's the people that know AI are the ones who are going to sort of advance more and be more successful. I think it's important for people to learn and take advantage of these tools and utilize them. I don't, today I don't see AI mass replacing jobs. I do think there will be impacts, of course. Like I give you an example of a call center that's doing level 1 work, maybe has 100 employees. You might put in some Gen AI type solutions and maybe 20, 30, 40% of those calls go away. Well, naturally, that call center can be smaller with less people. So there is some impacts, But at the same time, these solutions also create other opportunities and other roles in the world and in the industry. So I don't think it's going to completely replace people, but it will, impact some areas, roles, and, there'll be less people doing those functions at times.
And so, and how does it create opportunity for growth on the positive side? Because, companies can grow faster, right? Even your organization can grow faster because of AI. How do you think AI will enable that? What are some of these places where, growth was harder because I may have to hire more people, but now I don't have to hire as many people? Is there some use cases you can think of there? Growth
Uh,
spoiled by AI?
are you talking about the company's growth business, or are you talking about like individuals? The company's.
His growth. Yeah.
Well, certainly. I mean, there's a lot of abilities out there, like to use AI to advance the work that you do. Talking to different people out in the world and understanding some of the exciting things people are doing. Knowing individuals maybe in the legal space, as an example, talking about how it's helping them turn around contracts and different things faster and do those reviews. It's saving money from having to outsource some of that work at times. Like there's certainly solutions out there that are going to help advance those companies to move along faster in what they're doing. I think for every organization, they just have to figure out what it is to help them. Right, the impacts of AI is not going to be the same everywhere.
That is true. But I have to say, a lot of use cases we are talking about seem to be more on the fringe side. Okay, it helps productivity on a per employee basis, but like, do you think, like, you hear these AI native companies that are like 10 employees and, like, 20 million in revenue,
Yeah.
right? We don't know what the real numbers are, but do you see a similar transformation happening across industries where, like, what growth that would be fueled by hiring 100 people and costing $10 million, now you can do the same with $2 million. Do you see that kind of change happening in the industry?
I don't. Like, it's not something that I've been seeing or hearing about. I mean, to be honest, a lot of what I hear about now is more of the cautions of AI. There's so much hype and excitement about it. But, just recently, I think there was a McKinsey article that was talking about, again, 95% of generative AI initiatives are failing, or AI initiatives in organizations. And I think, the reality is you might be a massive company with huge dollars and budgets, and you can lean into some Gen AI or AI ideas in general. We're going to experiment, we're going to test, we're going to fail, we're going to learn, and that's exciting. But you also might be with an organization that can't afford to do that. They can't afford to test and learn and invest hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars into experimental AI things just to see how it performs. They really need to focus on sure bets, right? Things with really strong business cases. The idea that, hey, I might implement this AI solution and it may help move revenue up 1%. Well, will it though? Are you sure about that? Like, is the business stakeholders at the table as well agreeing with that and saying, yes, if we get these solutions, it's going to make that change? Versus maybe when you have a solution that actually is clear ROI. Maybe it's replacing some headcount. Maybe it's saying, hey, if I go and invest and I put in this solution, over this period of time, I could reduce this call center group by 30% of people. Well, that's a really clear, measurable thing. That's not as risky, versus the idea of maybe building something without such concrete, confirmed kind of ROI. That's more subjective, right? So, yeah.
And let's talk about that study, the 95% of AI projects will fail. I think by 2026, I think that's what they said.
Yeah.
My question for you is, can you give us a couple of stories you have heard in the industry of these investments that have failed, why they failed? What is where's the hype and where's the reality when it comes to implementation that you're hearing in the industry?
Um, oh, I don't know that I can think of any specific examples offhand. I will say that, talking with peers at times, I had a former colleague talk to me about experience in the banking industry as example in his world, and talking about how, people spending 2 and 3 years working on a project that, to test things, AI space, really exciting. And at the end of the day, it just kind of gets shelved, because it never really produced what they needed. But again, that's an organization that can afford to do that sort of work, and test things out. Um, so I haven't really experienced, directly myself in any organizations, but I've heard the skepticism out there.
Where do you think this 95% is coming from? Do you think i- it's it's the leaders that are getting too excited and starting these projects that think they're driven by the hype, or do you think it's the vendors that are over promising as well?
I think it's a bit of both. I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure on organizations to um, have an AI strategy. The other day it's funny. I laughed because I saw someone share a little kind of meme article, and it was like, who are we? And it's like CEOs. What do we want? AI. What do we want it to do? We don't know. And it's like, when do we want it? Right now. And that's kind of how it is. There's a lot of excitement out there. There's a lot of boards who are saying to, their executives, what's your AI strategy? What's the plan? And then those, executives are going to the team saying, what's the plan? What's the strategy? Um, and everyone wants to do it. But the thing is, you got to do it for the right reasons. You need to focus on, why are we doing this? How does it align to the business strategy? We shouldn't just do AI for the sake of doing AI. We need to understand, like, what's the strategic priorities of the company? What are we focused on as a business and trying to do? And then where are the opportunities with AI that align to that? To my point earlier around, if you're an organization that maybe is focused on cost cutting or cost management, well, a lot of AI things kind of could go against that, depending on what they are, right? If you're going to put in a solution like a Copilot type solution that's licensed, that's an added cost for every employee that you're putting in, and the productivity gains out of it are subjective and difficult to measure. You can't really say, "Oh, I've spent this, money on every employee to give them these productivity tools, and I'm getting a clear ROI on it." So it really depends on what you're focused on. At the same time, if your goal and strategy was to say, "Hey, we really want to focus on employee productivity and improving the employee experience," well, those type of tools could be really great at doing that, right? And helping you achieve that goal while increasing your costs.
So do you think that in that case, because of this excitement and hype that are driving these projects, and like what the McKinsey study said, and actually read a Gartner study too, report on AI and ITSM as well, which said like 70% of ITSM projects in AI will fail, right? Do you think that will lead to some sort of like market correction and some sort of fear from leaders in terms of adopting AI projects?
Well, for sure. I think that there's a lot of excitement and hype about it. I think you know, people at times maybe need to reset their expectations. And I think you need to go into it again for the right reasons. I think some people just buy into the hype and just, we have to do AI, we have to be doing this. It's going to make our company better, but it might not. And it might not be where you should focus. It might not be what your true priority is. There's a fear of being left behind. You'll hear people say that sometimes, like, if you're not, moving this forward, you're going to be left behind. I think that, as an organization, you probably have to decide, are we going to be a leader in AI? Or are we going to be maybe more of a follower? And being a follower might be okay. Like, you might be an organization where that's okay. I'd rather be a little bit safe. I'd rather follow behind, take advantage of the things that I see work and that I know are successful. And that maybe I could, implement in my business, right?
So, what are some of the dangers you foresee happening with these AI projects over the course of the next 3 to 5 years? Because I think there's a lot of positivity around what AI can do, but you mentioned earlier about PII and AI agents, and you would never let AI agents deal with PII. What are some of the other dangers you foresee, like with these agentic AI workflows?
Well, I think some of the dangers could be, number one, before you even get started, people getting in too quickly, right? Who just had this view that it's gonna, you know, have a bigger impact than it is or cost less than it does. So there's those challenges around, people might build a certain business case and it turn out not to be a reality, which is always difficult. If you say, "Hey, I'm gonna deliver this kind of ROI," and that doesn't pan out. I think then in terms of the products themselves, yeah, like there's some concerns around data privacy and protecting your data. How are companies and organizations managing these tools, putting proper governance around these tools, knowing that your data is secure and safe. Um, there's a lot of fear, even how are these tools being used maybe against you in a way, like the bad actors out in the world, who are taking advantage of these types of solutions to actually compromise organizations and such. So there's certainly some concerns there with it.
And I don't know if you read the report yesterday that Canada lost 66,000 jobs in August. And going back to your hiring, when you are making hiring decisions right now, are you thinking about should I hire or should I try to improve with AI first?
No, not necessarily. I think, to be honest, for me and my organization right now, I'm more certainly looking at AI and where there's opportunities. I think automation is actually a real good opportunity, and I think that's something that we want to lean into here more first. While still looking at AI and such, but I think automation is a real opportunity to drive efficiencies and improve your processes. Like there's a lot of opportunities for organizations there. So focusing more on the automation side before AI, although they're kind of overlapping. Now I was recently watching some videos on Power Automate where the individual is going through Power Automate, but then they're using Copilot, and as they're doing the activities, they're verbally explaining what they're doing so that it's even more accurate in what it's doing. It's really really impressive what's out there. So.
What excites you the most about AI's potential in IT over the next 5 years?
I think it really how it, like, empowers people, like, you're putting really powerful tools in everyone's fingertip tip. So, like I spoke about earlier, just the simple things of giving myself, Copilot and ChatGPT and things like that, and some of the cool things I've been able to do and test, it's really impressive. So I think there's a great opportunity to provide better, customer support, the employee support through those help desks with using AI tools. There's opportunity to give those employees working in those help desk AI tools to make their work better and improve. And again, like kind of take away some of that easy, boring, less exciting work and actually have them focus in on the tougher things, the things that will help them learn more and actually be better, support analysts within their role.
And as an executive, how are some of the ways you use AI on a daily basis yourselves?
Uh, well, to be honest, I kind of explained it already. Like for myself, it's just some of the personal productivity suites that I've been, testing around with Copilot, with Midjourney, with ChatGPT, and just using it in my day-to-day work. Sometimes it's to, ask questions. Sometimes it's to get, put in a message and ask it to maybe help me with some of the wording or to proof something or look at a document, those type of things. Nothing overly complex, but that's been a lot of my usage and focus.
Awesome. So for the final part, we'll have five rapid fire questions.
Sure.
And the idea is you get about 5 to 10 seconds per question to answer. Sounds good?
I'll try.
All right. So first one, what's the biggest red flag you watch out for when listening to an AI pitch in IT?
Um, when the first thing is that it's just gonna save me a ton of money.
Okay. That I guess that kind of answers the second question. What if a vendor tells you AI will save you money by cutting headcount? What's your gut reaction?
Yeah, it's instantly I kind of think to the person's probably not spending a lot of time focusing on what my priorities are because that might not be my priority or that might not be a possibility. I've been in environments where that's just not on the table. So if that's your sell to me is that, hey, you'll reduce headcount, I don't have that luxury of doing that. So it's not nothing for us to talk about.
And which tasks in IT should never be automated, no matter how good AI gets?
Right now, I think some of the things we talked about around like PII information and certain uh, personal information that's very sensitive, I've concerns about that being handled by AI and agents.
What's the most overrated KPI in help desk support?
I think probably like a first contact, first day resolution KPI, and part of it is more because it can really push analysts to focus on resolving something as fast as possible just to get it closed to hit a specific KPI, but not focus on the quality of it. So it's not to say it's not important, but it should be pushed to the point where you're not providing good service because that's the metric that people feel they're measured on only. So quality and such need to be considered with it.
And what do you think is the most underrated KPI?
Uh, I think I think some of your like CSAT, like customer service, customer satisfaction, I think that's really important. Organizations might not always focus on that, but really getting a voice back from your customer and understanding how they feel about the level of support you're providing is really important.
I have a question there around that. Have you heard of? Have you uh, in your current position and previous positions? Do you guys have you guys calculated cost per ticket, or is that
Yes.
not really? You do?
Yeah.
Do, is that something you would you say is overrated or underrated?
Overrated, partly because it's such a difficult measure when you really get down to it. Like if you take all the costs at your help desk and then you take your volume, your variables change every month. You could be down in staffing the next month, you could be up, you could be doing more hours for overtime and things like that. So when you actually run out, you say, "Here's my cost per case," you can see, and I've seen it in the past, maybe some wild swings at times. It just makes it difficult to be a good measure of that overall performance because there's always different circumstances that play into it. So it's still a value, but I think you just have to take it, um, with that understanding of all the factors that could have it sort of vary greatly from month to month.
And finally, do you think AI will ever truly feel human in help desk support?
Yeah, definitely. Like I think it's already getting there. I'm again, like I referenced earlier, just having a conversation with Chat GPT or something, like it's a very good experience. And if you even do the voice, as opposed to typing, um, it's pretty good, and it's only gonna keep getting better, and that's the scary part about how good some of this is getting, um, and even maybe earlier to when you talked about some of the concerns, how good some of this is getting is concerned around, like, deep fakes and fraud and things like that, so, certainly, feeling human and having a support experience that feels very human-like, yeah, that's I don't think that's very far away, we might already be there at times.
All right, Nick, this was great. Thanks a lot for joining us, and we really appreciate all your insights.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, it was great.
Right.